Some stories can't be captured in words. They live in silence. Ali's journey was one of those stories, where love wore the cloak of patience and separation took the shape of prayer. This isn't just a journey. It's the return of a heart that had been beating alone for years. Noor wasn't just light by name. She radiated it through her soul. In a narrow lane of old Lahore, there stood a crooked little house where she lived with her grandmother, Amabi. Her parents had passed away in a tragic accident when she was just 5. And since then, her entire world revolved around a single person, her Nani. Her life was anything but a fairy tale. Every morning she attended a madrasa. By afternoon she cleaned 2 houses to earn some money. And at night, she disappeared into a world of her grandmother's medicines and whispered prayers. Her face always carried a smile, but her eyes held a quiet pain, one that faded silently with each sunrise. Her school uniform bore signs of old mending, and her shoes had long lost their color, yet her soul was so pure and her heart so clean that even neighborhood aunties mentioned her in their prayers. One day, as she walked past the mosque, an old beggar called out to her. "Child," he said, "Allah has chosen you for something special. Your patience will become your prayer." She was taken aback and simply smiled. She was used to hearing odd things every day, but these words settled deeply into her heart. That night, as she sat by her grandmother's side listening to her recite the Quran, she felt as if a spirit had passed through her. A peaceful coolness settled into her heart. The next day, when she went to work, a new house door opened. A lady looked at her and said, "You're Noor, right? Someone recommended you. We've been looking for someone exactly like you." Noor was stunned. Who had spoken her name? Who knew her? Why? But the story was just beginning. The name of the new house was Malik Haveli, an old yet honorable mansion in an upscale neighborhood of the city. The moment Noor stepped inside, she felt that the walls of the house were not just made of stone, but of stories and secrets. Begum Malik, the lady who had called her name, was a quiet, composed woman. She led Noor straight to the kitchen and said, "You'll manage daily tasks here. Not cooking, just cleaning and a few errands." Noor thanked her and got to work, but her mind still circled the question. Who had recommended her? Amabi hadn't told anyone. Noor had no connections. Who knew her? Over the next few days, Noor grew familiar with the silence of the house. Everything felt like a quiet mystery. One day, while cleaning the library, she discovered a diary, old but well preserved. On its cover was just one name, Ali. And that was when another character of Malik Haveli entered, Ali Malik, Begum Malik's son, a once celebrated poet discarded by society, often misunderstood as mad. But for the first time, Noor's gaze didn't see madness, it saw meaning. Ali, who usually sat silently in the library scribbling, looked up and said, "Most people can't see souls, but your eyes, they reflect the prayers that are whispered only in the heavens." Noor was silent, but a strange light replaced the strangeness in her heart. One night, Amabi suddenly fell ill. Noor knocked on every door of the neighborhood begging for help, but no one answered, except one. Ali Malik, without asking questions, pulled out his car and took both Noor and her grandmother to the hospital. The tears in Noor's eyes weren't just of sorrow. They marked the beginning of a new bond. That night, a new verse appeared in Ali's diary. A prayer took form and glowed into light. A Noor descended and became my soul's sight. But Ali was hiding something too. Noor was no longer just a maid. She was becoming part of the house and its secrets. Was this merely a new turn in her journey? Or the first glimpse of the true light fate had written for her? Some secrets never reveal themselves before time, and some prayers test patience. Noor now had questions in her heart, and a new name in her heartbeat. But was Ali really who he seemed to be? Or was this silent poet hiding a storm within? Weeks passed. Noor had begun to feel a strange familiarity in the Malik Haveli. The corridors, the old swing, and even the creaking wooden doors, all seemed like they had waited for her arrival. Ali remained mostly quiet, lost in his poetry. When he did speak, his words touched something deep inside. One day, while Noor was cleaning the library, she found Ali's diary left open on the desk. Her eyes fell on a line. Sometimes I wish someone would hear the screams hidden behind my verses. Her breath caught. She knew she shouldn't read further, but her heart disobeyed. She turned a few pages. The diary held confessions of pain, loneliness, and a love never spoken aloud. One line read, "When she left, she took everything, my dreams, my voice, and the season when my heart used to live." Noor realized then, Ali's silence was not peace, it was pain. Next morning, Begum Malik handed Noor a set of old keys. "This is Ali's childhood storeroom. Please tidy it up." When Noor opened the room, she stepped into a forgotten world. Old toys, dusty books, and faded photographs. Among them was a photograph of a young woman with eyes that strangely resembled Noor's. On the back it read, "Saima, my muse for the first poem." A strange sting hit Noor's chest. That night, as rain fell gently outside, Noor sat quietly in her room. She saw Ali standing outside in the rain, staring at the sky as if demanding answers. Without opening the window, Noor softly said, "Sometimes the more we hide, the more someone truly reads us." Ali turned sharply. For the first time their eyes met, unspoken pain crossing invisible boundaries. Sometimes crossing a single distance answers 1,000 questions. Noor and Ali were close in soul, but the truth was still hidden in shadows. Would their hearts reveal in time, or would this story remain incomplete? The morning air carried a strange heaviness. The Haveli stood quiet, as if holding its breath. Ali had been absent for days. Even Begum Malik seemed unsettled. Noor felt an ache she couldn't explain. That evening, Begum Malik called Noor to her room. She handed her a folded letter. "Ali left this for you. He's been in Lahore for 2 days. But maybe this moment is more important." With trembling hands, Noor opened the letter. "Noor, there's something I've kept hidden. Perhaps because I feared it myself. The woman in that photo, Saima, was my mother. My father abandoned her. Begum Malik is my stepmother. These Haveli walls have only known my loneliness. When I saw you, it felt like Saima's eyes were looking back at me. There's peace in you that I never found in my poetry. You are a prayer, answered late but perfectly. I've gone to Lahore, to my mother's grave. If you want to walk this path with me, Come to the railway station tomorrow morning. Ali. Noor's tears fell freely. In the soft morning light, Noor kissed Amabi's hands and said, I'm going to find myself. If your prayers are with me, I'll never lose. At the station, Ali stood waiting. There was clarity in his eyes. When Noor arrived, he only smiled in silence, grateful, relieved. Lahore held both sadness and serenity. At the graveyard, Ali handed Noor a white rose. The tombstone read, Saima, she who lived in her son's poetry. Noor folded her hands in prayer and gently took Ali's hand. I understand the pain behind every poem now, she whispered. Ali replied, and now? I want to write poems only about happiness, if you're with me. Back at the Haveli, Amabi had recovered. Begum Malik embraced Noor and said, You became what time could not be for Ali. A few weeks later, a quiet ceremony was held. Noor and Ali were married. Ali's new book was released. Noor, she who was more than words,